And what's up, it's your good pal McToyReviewer69, and I'm assuming you seen with my Venom review. I've completely filled up his pin joints in this video, which I'm recording this before, so they're all still there. I'm recording this before that review. They're all still present. This is going to be a tour of how to fill those up. How I do it, at least. Or how I have done it. Okay, so this is what I'm using. Now, what you do is you fill up the actual holes with putty stuff, something you can paint over, so it actually looks cohesive. This is what I'm using. Now, I have not actually ever done this before. I've only tested out on this leg. You can see it there. We're not seeing the pins. We're not seeing the pins. On the other leg, right here, you can see that in here we do have pins. You can see the difference there. Let me try to get them in here for a pose. Okay, so I've heard about this technique from watching one of Sherman's Prime's videos. He said that he's seen people do this. I actually looked for videos. I could not find any at all on my own. So it was all searching up. It all ended up being how to take stuff apart, which that I already know how to do. So what I heard was using putty. So this stuff I just had in my garage, which it's made to fill up holes, but on wood. It's plastic wood. It's made to fill up the holes on wood and then, make it look good. I honestly do not recommend using this. I personally do not feel safe using this plastic wood on my toys. I've tested out the paint stain so far. You see this leg, it's working fine. This was applied yesterday. And it's staying on, see, it seems pretty smooth. It's nothing's happened to it. I mean, it's still working perfectly, so it's not like it's gonna mess it up at all. I mean, what's really gonna happen is that it maybe crumbles up and falls out. This might not be the most efficient thing to use. It's what I'm using. If you personally know anything better to use that. Or you want to correct me on anything I'm doing here, please do so. It's just, what I'm using right now. I probably will end up using something later on, but this is my first time actually doing this entire figure. Here is actually my first time filling it up. You can see there. You can't see it. I mean, I can't really make it camera focus, but there is a slight texture change where those holes are. I don't even know if you can see them anywhere outside of in person. So that's all good. I'm liking how it turned out, so I'm gonna do the entire figure on this. So what I'm gonna do is demonstrate it with putting 2 holes on the legs and then 1 on the arm. So what I'm gonna do is we're just gonna show off filling up the holes, and then I'm gonna show painting over this entire black. I'm just gonna use basic black paint. It's hard to go wrong with black. You either have to be putting a lot of effort into messing up black. So it's going to black over. Thing is though, this has a hint of blue on it. This arm right here has a tint of blue. So I'm going to be losing on mine. So if you're going to be doing this on anything other figure besides any basic color, then either make sure you color match it. It's Venom, so I'm not going to be too upset about losing this blue right here. So it's not that big of a deal to be losing, especially since it's only just gonna be that one spot. Well, every other pin is just black. So let's get into it. So first off, I'm taking this off, and I'm just gonna put a little bit on this piece of paper I have right here. If I can get it out. Okay, hold up, it's stiff. Okay, there you go. And putting the cap back on. So what I'm using to apply is toothpick. So I'm taking it and shoving it in the holes. So we're gonna take a little bit here. And so you know what? I think it might be better demonstrate on this foot. You can see there this sticking out a little bit, so might as well show that off. So take a little bit first, then put it in there. Just rub it in. Oh yeah, and there's a lot of curve here. So what I did here was I put on a second layer to match the curve. First layer of this stuff was just to, fill it out. Don't be afraid to get your hands dirty with it. First layer was to fill it out. Second layer will be to match the curve of the mold. Because this one, it curves. And on all fingers, it's going to curve over that hole. There's going to be some molding uniqueness to it. So, I'll show you all that second layer when this dries up, and I'll turn back on the camera and show it off. Pressure on there. No, I'm just stuck to my finger. Sticking out a bit there. It's looking like it's actually matching already on done. So let dry a little bit, and then let's get to this one. This stuff crusts up pretty fast. So what I'm using, when you get it out of the bottle, it's pretty liquidy and soft. But then once you have it out a little bit, it gets a little crusty. A little bit, I wouldn't say crusty, more, what's the word, brittle. Soft and brittle. So this one's already matching the curve. So maybe I won't have to turn the camera back on for it. So we're just patting it in, pushing it down as much as possible. So you wait for this to dry as however long it takes for whatever you're using to dry. What I'm using is going to take roughly an hour or two. Make sure you rub it into the mold of it to match the mold of it. That's already looking fine. I'm going to take it to myself and examine it. Yeah, so it's looking good. That's looking fine. What I want to do though is I want to chip off this little bit sticking out. I can't just push it through when I don't know how, and two, it's already done over here, so better off just cutting off this little bit sticking out so that it's as smooth as possible. Take this up to my. Yep, so that's all good now. Now I'm gonna take a little bit more and then soften it out. Again, don't be afraid to get your fingers dirty. That's the only way this is gonna work. All right. Looks all good to me. It might not even need that second layer. Honestly, it might not. I'm looking at it, and it's looking good. Okay. So here's what I did. So wash your hands, good and clean, and then pat the stuff. Pat it. This is at least what I'm doing. I'm not sure if other stuff is different. Make sure none of that stuff is in the other creases. It is not the biggest deal. But just clean off all that excess stuff. Alright. Now we'll sip and let that dry. Harden. And then I'll turn camera back on when I put some paint on it. Now we get some more, and I'm gonna do this arm. little bit. Shove right in there with the toothpick. This is a smaller hole, so a lot more compact. It's definitely smaller, but deeper. I'm not sure if this method would apply to all figures. This figure is a bigger figure. It's my, huge ass Venom. So these pinholes are deep. They're deep. Most other figures, they're not. They're either flush or sticking a little bit on older ones. Well, I guess all pinned figures are going to be older, since now as all newer figures are having those pins. Even older ones are getting new pins, or becoming pinless, or having no pins. So when you have stuff that's sticking out, or it's flush, I assume you're just going to cut it to make sure you can actually get the putty in there. It's going to be less putty too. This I actually have to use a good amount of putty to make sure that it's all filled up in there. Just keep squishing it down. Keep squishing it down until it's flush. Remember, take your time with it. You can tell I'm taking my time with it. I'm gonna do all these off camera and then paint them. This is my day today. Doing this. In fact, I'm gonna even do that Venom review today. I might do it tomorrow. Now this video is going up in 2021 because of how I post videos. I'm actually doing this before Christmas. And leave that. That's how long I hold on to this video. Do this before Christmas. Pushing that down. Pushing that down. Okay, so good to put some pressure on it. Brush it off. Brush it off. I'm taking a look at it. Make sure it's flat. Okay, so what I did was, right now it's looking like I'm not gonna need to do a second layer. Was I put a little bit more on the top, sticking up right there. I'm not sure how well it's coming off on camera, just so I can match with that vein. I'm trying to match with that vein right there. If I need a second layer, I'll put it on. For now, it's looking good. So I'm gonna stop the video now and come back with painting. Okay, so now that all stuff is good and dried up, so as flat as it can be on there, or not flat, it's as flush as it can be on there. Now is for the painting. So I guess you're giving a short painting tour as well. Just put your paint, get your brush, and always have a cup of water on you. This is cheap, like a Party City cup I have. It's perfect for painting because it's a garbage cup. Don't, of course, use your fancy glass cups, obviously. Cheap cup will be fine. This is the paint I use. It's Hobby Lobby paint. Model color. Belejo, I think it's called. Or Baleo. Don't know if it's Spanish name or if it's Italian. So I've honestly never painted Marvel Legends before. I've only painted my Transformers, my Flame Toys Transformers. So this right here was my first time painting Marvel Legends, and it's looking pretty good. It's holding up so far. So, sorry, it's off camera. It's holding up so far. So yeah. So I'll paint in this leg, and then this side of the arm to show you how to do that. Because it has that blue, so I'm gonna try to make it at least look flush as possible, or as cohesive as possible. So hold the camera a bit more, adjust it a bit. We want to start with the good amount of paint. Just base black is fine. Oh, black will match with black. It's gonna be a little hard to get black wrong. Then I'm gonna take the brush here. I'm using a small brush. Make sure you always get the brush for size. So what I do is I compare it where I'm painting. This brush matches, so I'm using this brush. So what you should do, there you go. Get your brush wet, tap it off. Make sure it's not dripping. If you need to, wipe it on your clothes, wipe it on your wrist. Make sure it's not dripping. It needs to be wet, but not dripping. You don't want it dripping. The brush I use is some cheap, it's not Crazy Arts brush. It's cheap stuff. We got a thing for like a pack of a couple sizes for like $3. So mine separates a lot. You really don't want that. So what you should do is brush the base you're going to be painting to make sure. Sorry, my throat. Alright. So maybe brush it a bit. Make sure it's straight. And then we dip in the paint and brush as you normally would with paint. Make sure to get a wider area so it doesn't look all clumpy in one spot. Get in there again. And then keep it going. Make sure if there's any brown spots that got in there, like right there, if you can see it, just go over it, make sure it's gone. And I have put in one coat already from doing this side over the number spot. So I feel like painting over it, so I'm going to put a second coat. If you do that, I personally recommend taking a picture of the number just in case you need it. You always have this mold stuff on the bottom right there you need. But just in case you need it for like, maybe it breaks on you like a month later and you want to get a new one, you're going to need to have this. So if you paint over, I recommend having a picture, keeping it around as long as possible, maybe even writing it down, or painting it with a white, like Sharpie or something, on the bottom of the foot with there's room. If there's room. This one there's room. I could do that, but I don't feel like it. So when we let it dry up, so leave it facing on that side. With what I'm using, I'm going to be putting a second coat on. Usually it's best to put a second coat on. For that, I'm putting a second coat on. When I was forgot to say, always have a napkin on you. Just a nice disposable napkin for, wetting stuff up, or maybe putting paint on and rubbing it on. Or just if you get paint somewhere you don't want it, wipe it off. So now we'll go on to this one. So I haven't even tried experimenting on this yet. So we're going this raw, no rubber here. So I'm going to try to leave it as much blue as possible. So now here's my plan. I'm going to take away a lot of blue from here, and then I'm going to fade it to this point. So I'm basically just redoing how much blue there is. I'm going to want to put a second coat on that. Personally, I'm going to put a second coat on that, so I'm not going to demonstrate it yet. I'm going to turn off camera, and then I'll get back to you on that. In the meantime, I'm going to be painting the rest of the stuff. Enough. Always make sure you never let your brush get crusty by leaving paint on it when you're letting your paint dry. Always dip it in the water, and then clean it off on your napkin. See, there's paint marks on there. Okay, so I'll be applying some second coats right here. You can see there is its texture poking out. Okay, that's all good done. Grab a new one. Put those on. Move the camera over. And I have no idea if this is going to make it look more glossy. I just want it to look less obvious. I even put a little bit extra right there. So just do that until you're comfortable with it, with how it turns out. Now we're back to this. Grab a little bit, put on a second coat. I'm completely forgetting where the pin was. I can't even tell. Maybe we done it. Right now, I'm going to show off that fade I was talking about. So this is a shady technique I use. Grab yourself a bottle cap with water in it. Now you take the black, you dip it in, blacken up that water. That's what you're going to want. That's what you're going to want. Yep, all good. So what this does, is it puts a thin layer of paint over what you're painting. It will darken it up. It won't put black over it, it'll make it darker. This is what I use on my Megatron when I was painting it, and oh crap. When I was painting it and the red paint was too light, so I did this. I was like, well, that worked. So you just put it over like that. You're still all good. Don't let it pull too much on there. This is where you take this and dab it just a little bit. Then you get back in there. And have to go down the amount you're comfortable with. I think that's where I'll stop. I'm doing a little bit more where it meets the black right there, so that it's darker right there. Try as much of that water off as you can. See? I want to get the water off. Alright, so I'm going to keep on with this stuff and come back with the results. And here we have them finished. The paint's not completely dry yet, but it's like, you touch it's not going to be sticking to your finger at all. So it's dry enough. I probably might have finished him. Or finished the video. And let's do a 360. Can you see? Do you see any pins? Huh? You see any pins? Well, of course on my camera probably not going to see it, but still. You can see, it wasn't exactly perfect. I don't know what's coming off camera. It's more black over here, and it's like it suddenly stops mostly. So it wasn't like perfect fading like I wanted it to. But oh well. It's on first glance, it looks good. It looks good. I like how it turned out. See on the legs right there? Looks like there's no pins. Looks like there's no pins. Of course, I think you can see right here. There is a texture difference that if you get close enough. This one I actually fell a little bit on. I should have put a little bit more putty there. But you see, on the smoother parts, and here's pretty smooth right here. You can see that there is a texture difference because of what I used. But you know, it's not the end of the world. You can't really see it first class, and it does look better in my opinion. It does look like it's not there. So I like that. I'm happy with how this Venom turned out. And I hope this video helped you. If you're looking to customize by Gamer's pins so they match your new pinless figures. Next time, Spider-Man. I'm not gonna do it to Spider-Man because I'm not even gonna try to get that done with all the webbing there. Not much, but still, I'm not even trying to match the red on there at all. So, right there too. I'm not going to. I'm not going to try. I could probably try here, but I'm not going to. Maybe I will try on other figures I have. If I get older figures or figures or pins, maybe I will. But there you go. This will be the end of my how to fill in Marvel Legends pins video. This has been your boy McToyReview69. This has been your boy McToyReviewer69, telling you to have yourself a good year and have a wonderful day.